I'll go quickly back to what you said. I think it's important for the audience to realize because sometimes people have asked me, "Oh, what business should I get into? What should I buy, or whatnot?" And it's about what you like. So if you like painting, look into painting. If you hate painting, don't do that, or don't do roofing, for example. And I also think if you love the business and the aspect of it, I don't think you need to be the painter or the roofer, but you have to understand the business and have a passion about what you're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, life is too short. You got to love what you're doing day in and day out, whatever that might be. And it's honestly different for some people. Look at me and said, "I cannot do what I would do," or you and I were
Right.
talking a couple weeks ago, and well, actually, even my wife said, like, "Do you ever shut off?" Right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm always reading, doing webinars. It's like, no, because for me, it's a source. It's a source. It's not a source of stress. It's a source of food. It's a source of
Right.
energy. So we kind of got to figure it out. And I know that you and I talked a little bit about, like you just mentioned, like you kind of try to get into the psyche of the person and sort of this life design to figure out, okay, what am I cut out for? Because it's like saying, oh, I got to get a lawyer. Okay, what kind of lawyer? Like, what do you want? So it's like, oh, I want to buy a franchise. And it's like you just said, there's home based, there's service based, there's retail. Like there's so many different types and so many different verticals. Um, in terms of like, is there a space right now that is growing, like the home-based one or brick and mortar? Just, and again, that's a very broad, it's probably different by state, potentially
Sure.
by region based on demographics and iconographics and all those sorts of things. But what's kind of hot right now, if you will? Is there anything
Mhm.
that's really moving?
Yeah, so I mean, one thing, and I'm gonna definitely answer that. So one thing I want to say too is that in franchising, because you don't need experience in the necessary industry, look for a model that can help you create that time and financial freedom. There are certain brands, maybe you're not passionate about painting, but you're interested in, helping people redecorate. There's different angles to it, but like you said, you're not
Hmm.
actually doing the painting in most cases. You're doing the same thing from a painting franchise to many others, senior care and a few others. Your role after that first year is going to be very similar. Oversight, maintaining employees, running the KPIs. So the whole goal there is to implement the systems, hire the right people because the employees are going to be the lifeblood of the business. So you can back off and do the things that you're passionate about. We were talking about soccer and sports and things like that. So
Hmm.
there are systems. You want those stronger systems to really take kind of a back seat, not a back seat, but not having to be in the office every day or on the phones all day long. And you'll get to validate and talk to franchisees. As far as things hot. You hear of things that are different. Like, there are franchises that something new that you don't hear a lot about, such as private jet detailing, interior and exterior cleaning and detailing. These are niches based off of making sure there's enough airplane hangars in the area you live in or the territory that you end up purchasing. For me, a lot of the brands, the big thing for me is recession resistance. We want this to do well
Hmm.
in up and down markets. And we've seen things do really well, like senior care. You can't
Senior
stop
care.
aging. We can stop looking like we're maybe aging. I'm 95 years old, right? But I'm using this special cream. But you can't stop aging. So senior care is a big one. Your mom and dad are getting old, grandparents are getting older. They need somewhere to stay, and you would like to have them age and spend their final years at home. So there are franchises that do both medical and non-medical in-home care. There are even brands that actually will do tasks and do minor things, your to-do list for you. So if you're a senior at home, they'll come in and clean, reorganize, help you move, move things around, do light landscaping, cleanup, whatever's needed, paint the wall if needed. So they kind of handle all those tasks. Other areas that there's a need, and I think there's more of a need now, more than anything else, is expense reduction. So there are
Hmm.
B2B brands that will work with small businesses in your local market and be able to kind of really work with anyone in the country as long as there's a referral agreement in place and helping small businesses and basically saying, hey, we can save you on your expenses. And the way we're compensated is nothing for the analysis. We'll split the savings in half, 50-50. and we'll do all the work, the negotiation, and we'll do all the research. So
Yeah.
that business does well. It just there's always a need for it. What business in an up or down market isn't looking to cut expense? And then if there's a third option, is something that is recession resistant as well, and that's water and smoke mitigation, mold
Mm.
removal. So what happens after a fire, right? Smoke damage, fire damage, a hurricane, an earthquake, a tornado comes through, leaky pipes. These businesses have historically done well, and we just had a nice stress test with COVID to see how they fared. And there's always a demand there, right? You need to get rid of
Yes.
mold, and you need to be specialized. Not in anyone can do that. So between the licensing requirements, insurance, and everything else needed, general contractor licenses, depending on your state, it goes a long way. So these businesses are very specialized. They are lower investment. They don't require a brick and mortar. Senior care, you'll definitely need some type of office for license and insurance requirements. But you keep
Hmm.
the investment low, you keep the staff on the lower end, and there's always a need for these types of businesses. Um,
Yes.
so we talk quite a bit about those three industries.
Makes sense. And what is the range? So like, what is the range of it? Like I know for like McDonald's, I think the last I heard was 750,000. That would be on the super upper range. What is the range of people can expect? I'm pretty sure it's wild. I actually don't know the range, but can you share with us a little bit about what type of investment level might be required?
Yeah, so I'll answer this way because you have to understand what is included. So a
Sure.
lot of people will throw franchise fees, and that's only part of the investment. So you're looking at a franchise fee plus essentially all the money you need to launch the business, start it up, and run the business for the first 90 days. So that's typically what's included, and you always refer to your franchise disclosure document, which includes the franchise agreement, and it'll give you the ranges. Anything in non-brick and mortar, so something home-based may require a small office. A good range would be between 100 and 300,000. So
Mhm.
it may be a $50,000 franchise fee, 20,000 marketing, 20 in payroll, and 10,000 miscellaneous. And that's going to include all your startup, your grand opening, your payroll. There are going to be big ranges because if you're running it part-time and have a general manager in place, you're going to have to pay, an extra, there's 90 days of payroll in there and payroll taxes. So if you own a business or expense reduction business, you're going to have a lot less costs, no staff, and you're the
It's
people
just
going
you.
out, yeah, or
Mhm.
contractors. So you'll have
Yeah.
other coaches underneath you. But if you own a water and smoke mitigation business, you're going to have a van. You're going to have a truck mount system to extract the water that can easily cost you, I don't know, 50 to 100,000 right then and
Mhm.
there. So you'll have some higher costs. Once you get into brick and mortar, a physical location in a shopping center, I say you're in that 250 to 350 range, taking
Mhm.
about realistically 6 to 12 months or more to get open. And then your standalone businesses, your trampoline parks, your fast food restaurants, your what's the other one? I'm missing one. There's miniature golf and things like that. You can
Golf.
easily get
Yeah.
into a seven figure. Salon suites. That's what I was thinking of,
Ah,
where you're looking at easily a seven figure plus type of a business. And then there's going to be some variables like, did you go a little bit larger? Did you go a little bit smaller? What's TI look like? What's the money you're getting back from the landlord for improvement? So there's some variables there, but yeah, they're going to give you ranges based off of the feedback from the franchisee, and then if you're in Toronto versus New York City or San Francisco or just in the Midwest, your price per foot is going to vary. So especially in
for
brick
sure.
and mortar, so you'll do some
Yeah.
internal homework as well.
Is there a target range? Most people say if I can buy a 1 year used Ferrari for 100 grand, you'll find 100 grand, even though 100 grand might be a lot. Although 100,000 1 year old Ferrari doesn't really exist. Um, but what is the typical payback? Like, is the typical payback of the franchise world range from 2 to 4 years? Or is it sort of like, I guess it might also depend, but like you can put up $1 million. So for example, I look to apply for, there's a franchise in Canada, and I think they're in upstate New York called The Keg. And the Keg is a steak restaurant. It's always busy.
Hmm.
I have all the credentials. I'm not a restaurateur, but I love the consumer experience of it. I love the brand positioning, whole 9 yards. I needed, when I looked to apply to get a franchise, this was about 10 years ago now, in 2014, 2015. At that time, I needed 2.2 million unencumbered. And the one I put my name in the hat for was the one sort of near a highway in a major shopping mall, super busy. That one ended up being 3.5 million, which basically means I got to have that money cash and I got to have no bank loans against it. Whether someone personally loans me unencumbered, that's what that means. Like, you basically have to be rich already. However, you'll pay that back within a couple of years easily. So it's a huge amount,
Right.
right? A huge, pretty healthy 7-figure amount. But the level of business and the scale of the operation, like, it's pulling in 7 figures plus a year easily. And so your payback time frame is less than 3 years.